Hello? How did you get this number? Don't you know he's listening? The 13. He's here.
You have entered the 13, a place where real stories about music, touring, and the beyond are told. Music does something to us. We all experience it in our own way. It can affect our senses, transport us through time, and release emotions. On this podcast, we will talk with people about the power of music and the beyond. What does the beyond mean? Let's find out together. Turn on your metronomes because this time is about to be tracked.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to season 2 of the 13. I'm your host, Orion 13. Today we have Tommy Bones to kick off the season. He's a great old friend, wonderful musician, awesome producer, and he's got a lot of knowledge about the Houston music scene, recording stuff, lots of cool stories to talk about. We get into it. We have a great time. I recorded this back in, I think this was like in August or something. I started recording right after I finished season 1. And so some of these, you'll hear us talk about certain dates, and they've already passed. So my bad. I think maybe in the future, I'll get better at recording, releasing. But, life happens and we all got to do stuff. But anyway, without further ado, here's me and Tommy Bones having a great time. I hope you enjoy it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the 13. I'm Ryan 13, and today we have Tommy Bones, the guitar shredder himself. What's up, brother? How are you doing, man? How you been?
Doing
It's
good,
been a long
brother.
time.
Yes, sir. It has been, man. Probably too long. Was it been like 10 years, something like that?
At least a decade. I've been in
Something.
oil and gas. I've been in oil and gas for 10 years. So, I mean, it's not like I meant to leave the rock community or whatever. It just kind of happened, and then so golly, it might be 11 years, man. The last
it's
show
2022, so yeah, it might have been closer.
The last show I did with King's X, the last thing I did with King's X was just after our European tour, or their European tour. I was, roadie. So that was, what was that? It was 2011.
I think
it
was.
And then they had one more show one more stretch I was in with them in America, and after that, I think that was it. And you and me were hanging out. You came on the tour,
because I helped out guitar teching on the Houston show at the House of Blues, and they asked me to go on tour, but my job, I just couldn't get away to do it. But otherwise I would have been on that tour with you.
Yeah, so. I remember hanging out on the bus with you at Walmart. Was that in Katy?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was in Katy, right up there off I-10.
Yeah, geez Louise, where did the time go?
I know. It's been it's crazy.
So
Kids have grown and all that stuff. It's amazing.
So what have you been up to lately? What's your bag? I know you have the Tommy Bones stuff that you've been doing forever. Every now and then you've been in Crowmonger playing guitar and doing vocals with old Hefe. And what else you got going on?
I'm really getting into the whole music production, recording aspect of it. I think that's my calling. I've taken several classes through Berkeley and, other education courses and whatnot over the years, because I tried the YouTube thing. Yeah. And that was a rabbit hole that just went south like really badly. So everything I tried that they recommended, it was like, okay, why isn't this working?
Yeah, I know. I have a YouTube channel. Everybody, here's a link. You can go watch me eat hot peppers and be stupid, and it's fun. But nobody watches that stuff anyway. It doesn't matter how cool you are. It doesn't matter what you type in. Nobody watches.
Right. Everybody's got some kind of opinion about, why you need this piece of hardware and why it's so much better. And you're never going to get pro results unless you use, break the bank and all that kind of stuff. And it's totally not true. So once I learned that, my life's gotten a lot easier.
Well, good.
In regards to that.
Right on, man. So the Crowmonger stuff, how did you end up doing that? because I don't even. I mean, I've been out of the game, man. I'm just reemerging
Sure.
back into the system. But so, how did you end up doing that? Because I've been listening to some of the stuff. You got a show coming up. It looks like a one-off, but like I love that stuff. That's great. I can't believe I hadn't really. I had heard some of it, but I can't believe I didn't like listen to all of it before.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So I was working in Lake Charles. I was working oil and gas for years, and then in 15, when the market kind of dried up, I basically kind of gave up music and went on the road and got into aviation. So, and I still
cool.
do that.
Okay, cool.
I do military aircraft and civilian aircraft. And
what do you do exactly, or can you even tell
we
me?
do the structural inspections?
Oh,
so
awesome.
Non-destructive testing, which we utilized in oil and gas.
That's right. That's dude, I totally remember because I was telling you on that tour bus.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do this NACE thing. And you were like, you should get an NDT.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I did NACE anyway, but I remember looking into it. That's crazy, dude. Inspectors.
Yeah. We make the world go around safely.
So, that's correct.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I went to Lake Charles, and actually I first went out to New York and worked on the trade centers for about 8 months. And in Manhattan, I had my fill of Manhattan.
Check.
Yeah. Okay, this is cool for a little while, and then after a while, it's just like, yeah, this is a little much. How do people
look at all the
like
buildings?
Right.
Everybody's an asshole.
Well, surprisingly, I got to give them credit because, yes, they are assholes initially.
They're fast. Yeah.
Initially they're assholes, but I can't blame them either because there's so many people, in and out and all that stuff. But once you actually get to know them and on a personal level, I didn't meet anybody that was an asshole. Honestly, it was quite the contrary. So I
that's like coming to Houston, then, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
where are you from?
And they absolutely, once I found out I was from Texas, they were just like, oh my God, you're from Texas. Wow, this is awesome. Like, what's it like? They were totally into it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, but they were huge Dallas Cowboys fans. And I was like, well, yeah, that's where you all went wrong there. It's like, you got to be a Texans fan.
Look, I don't know. I got to pick it up. Oh, you can't hardly. It's Andre Johnson beating that Finnegan dude's ass.
Oh yeah,
it's one of my favorite. I mean, God, what a great day! What a great day in Houston Texans football. Andre Johnson, the best wide receiver we've ever had, and that dude, Cortland Finnegan, was like talking shit, doing too much, and he just fucking whooped his ass. Sorry, Tennessee, but it was fucking awesome.
It was. So yeah,
I remember watching it live. I was like,
I
don't even know who's on the Texans these days.
Well, I don't either. I kind of stopped watching it after the whole kneeling thing. So
it got too. Sports got political, and I was like, well, I'm not watching this for politics. I'm watching this to enjoy myself. So I kind of quit watching too.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I could go on and on about that, but
we will later.
After a couple more of these,
that's right.
You know what I think.
Oh, dude, that's me, Tracy, and Hefe hung out for like 2 hours after we were done with our podcast. We just we're sitting there fucking bullshitting and having a great time. It was super. I mean, it's like, oh my God, I haven't seen you guys in so fucking long, and it's like we never missed a beat. It was like fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's a great thing about musicians. It's always, you can probably not see somebody for 15, 20 years and probably get right back on and have plenty to talk about.
Absolutely. Did you know that you are the season 2 opener? I didn't tell you that before we started. But
no, I did not.
When's the Crowmonger show?
September 24th. So this may.
Is that at BFE or where?
Yeah.
Of course, we're BFE.
Sure.
We love
I love Frank. Frank is like, and we kind of stepped away, and I wasn't really planning on doing any other Crowmonger shows, but Frank kind of pulled on the heartstring a little bit, and I can't say no to him. He's just been so good to me over the years, and love him to death. And of course, everybody else over there as well. So like Shane, and
Right.
they're just amazing people, and they've been good to me and my family, and I just love them to death. So if I play anywhere in Houston, it's always there. So
Oh yeah, dude, that's
especially
awesome.
a one-off, especially a one-off.
Oh yeah.
Right? So,
I mean, what was it called before it was BFE? I always say this, and I always
forget about it.
Forget about it. Yeah, that's right. And it was down the street or something, right?
Yeah, it was down 6th Street or something, in like Bear Creek or something.
Okay, yeah, I remember playing that place. We played that place with Deconstruct. It was the bass player. No, it was the guitar player from. God, I don't even remember. Sorry, guys. I know his name was Rob. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah,
but it was a great band.
Yeah.
And then I think we played there with maybe Six Past Hell and some other people, and then it moved down to the next place, and I think we played there with Gunship 666. I think Razor 13 still had the chick singer then, or maybe it was the dude singer. I don't know.
Huh.
But yeah, great place. Frank's awesome, and I haven't seen him in fucking 15 years either.
Yeah, just go down there. You need to get down there and say hi to him, because he's usually there every weekend. So.
Right. I never go anywhere, dude. The pandemic happened and it kind of fucked my brain up. So I just stay in this room.
Well, that's why I kind of got into this recording thing, and it's been great because I've been working with a lot of different musicians and bands, and they'll just send me stuff, and now I just I don't even have to really even go through the process of recording, really, because everybody's got home studios now, so they just track it themselves, and then I just do the mixing and make it sound good. So pretty much like every other top end professional producer and or mix engineer, I guess you'd say. That's what they do. So not that I'm professional on that level, but you strive to get to those points.
I have the what's it called, the modern record, the Bible that everybody has, modern recordings, whatever, but mine's from 2000. Mine's 20 years old. It's like the 2nd edition or something,
right?
But anyway, I'm gonna send you these audio files, and you see if you actually already sound better than most of the guests, because most of the guests use like their cell phone or just the laptop, and it you hear the room. I can actually hear you talking. This is
fantastic. I'm glad to hear that, because I wasn't sure, because I can't hear it going through my headphones.
Yeah,
so I don't know really how I'm sounding. And
you sound good. I can hear the room a little bit, but it's not bad.
I put a noise gate on it, and then
okay, cool.
And I don't have any acoustic treatments in here, so it's gonna be just extra.
It's not bad. No one's gonna notice except for us.
Exactly.
I mean, but that's what my buddy Brandon from Expanding Reality podcast. Oh, that brings up an awesome topic. Some of you may be hearing a lot about all the UFO talk lately. There is an awesome show that covers UFO, consciousness, psychedelics, and the beyond. Check out the link in the description below, Expanding Reality. There you can become an expansive insider and check out awesome bonus content. It is a great show. I love going to it. I love listening to it. I drive a whole lot for work, and it's a pretty fantastic show.
I'm on the road quite a bit for my job, and I obsess, I watch like Ancient Aliens, like all those things, and then Amazon Prime's got like a plethora of these crazy alien stories, and shows and experiences, and all that stuff. And some of it obviously is hocus and all that stuff, but
but I mean,
but a lot of it, it's like that. It's interesting, and you can't, like, statistics. I mean, it's just statistically impossible that we would be the only people in this vast universe.
100%, man. Look behind you,
right?
Like there's all the guys. So if there's more galaxies in the universe than there are grains of sand on the earth, or something fucking retarded like that. And that's if that is true, if the statement is galaxies, And think about how galaxies.
Right.
I mean, like, that's fucking insane. Galaxies are so huge.
And anybody that says any differently is naive, because
Right.
I'm a big math people, and a lot of people don't know that about me. My dad was an algebra and chemistry teacher,
Okay.
growing up as a kid, and a lot of what I do for work is math equations and things like that. So I'm kind of like, I always got a calculator close by, type
Awesome.
thing. But when you start getting in, and you know this for being an inspector, that there's quality statistics, and then how you can take a batch of something, and then, like, if this first 10% of it is shows bad, then you keep checking it until you can figure out if that lot is rejectable or not, or
Right.
garbage.
Sure.
Well, you take that same kind of concept, and statistically, it's impossible for us to be the only life civilization, or intelligent life civilization, in this vast galaxy of galaxies.
Yeah, dude, for
It's
real.
it's insane. So I know, I think they're here. I think there's a lot of probably things that are probably, I don't know how to explain it, but they're probably keeping an eye out, or
Oh,
they're already
yeah.
been involved in and stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
for whatever reason, they're just not showing themselves, or we just are unaware of it, and maybe it's probably just for their own safety. Who knows?
Have you okay, have you ever read a book? I think it's called The Bobaverse, or listened to a book.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Do you listen to Audible?
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
do.
So I'll send you I don't know if I still have your number or not, but like either way, I'll send you The Bobaverse. I think there's 3 books, maybe 4. And it's about, oh man, it's big. I'll sum it up. It's about a guy who dies on Earth. They implant his consciousness into a machine and send it out into space. And over time, he replicates himself and makes multiple Bobs, and
Really?
goes to multiple planets and multiple systems, and then ends up finding other people who have done something similar, and then there's wars start. But he also finds planets with these this intelligent life, and he literally just watches over them like God. And like he
Wow.
sees things that they're doing, and he intervenes, and he becomes friends with one, and
Hmm.
he makes little, so he's a spaceship, right? Bob becomes the spaceship, but then he replicates himself, and then he makes himself smaller into like little flying things, and then eventually into things that look like the creatures that live on this habitable planet. And then he starts interacting with them. It's a
Wow.
fantastic book, and it's funny as shit. It's called the Bobaverse. You know what I mean? Like,
Huh.
so it's funny, it's cool, but it's also like kind of eye-opening. Like, I would, if I found a civilization that was nowhere near where like maybe we were technologically or whatever, I would hang out and watch. And then maybe I would kind of start caring for this civilization and want to intervene and help out, like, you know what? Okay, that
Well,
dude's about to fall down this cliff. I ought to help him.
yeah. Well, I don't think it's like so much. I believe most of civilization is pretty good. I mean, I served time in the Marine Corps, went
Right.
overseas, and
Absolutely.
I saw the good and the bad of people. And um, even here in the United States, is sometimes it's scarier being in the United States than was over there at times. Because just it's crazy nowadays. But
Yeah,
I
it
still
is.
believe that people are good in nature, and you know, I think a lot of people are just frustrated, and they don't know how to help. They don't know how to
Sure.
intervene. And if you had that information to know how to intervene, or, all that kind of stuff, then obviously I think a lot more people would. But sometimes, you feel helpless, or you get castrated for even speaking up nowadays,
Right.
and having your own opinion, not going
Oh
along with
yeah.
the rest of
Yeah.
the clan, or,
You're not allowed to
the
have an opinion, dude. You're not
right.
allowed. And
If
if you
it's not
have,
popular opinion, then you don't matter. So
I saw this photo. I sent it to a good friend of mine, Andy Weems. He was in my wedding. Anyway, like, I sent him this photo, and it's us like hanging around this poster, and it's just a marijuana leaf poster. We're like 17 years old. We're like, oh, weed, or whatever,
right.
like being stupid kids. but in the
Sure.
background there was a Confederate flag. And I wrote him. I
Oh.
said, dude, remember this day? I said, oh, by the way, please don't cancel me for the Confederate flags because that's canceled. And
Yeah.
whatever. It's like you can't do anything. I get it. I understand, but I also think some of it's ridiculous. Like people
It
just
is.
canceling. Did you hear about them trying to cancel Metallica?
No, I
Like
didn't hear that one.
there's a whole TikTok, there's a whole slew of the young kids, young TikTokers that have made up this narrative that Metallica are racist and Nazis. And they have
How'd
photos
they formulate that?
they
Their
have
opinion?
photos from the 80s to prove it, where
Why, because they played over in Russia or something? Or?
No, that's what I thought too. But no, it's because like James does this and then like does the thing, and you know how funny they are or whatever, and they're just like joking. It's the 80s when you could do things like this without having to. So they're digging up all this old stuff and they're being like, look at this photo. That means he's racist. That means he's a Nazi. Yep. All of Metallica. Yeah. That's why they have Kirk and old Rob in the band, because they're racists.
Oh yeah. Just
but
people's
I mean,
I don't get it anymore. I mean, it's gone beyond. I feel like all this talk about like trying to eliminate racism and all that kind of stuff. I just feel like worse. I do. I think they're inadvertently causing more racism, and it's beyond me. And I'm probably going to be the most hated guy for saying that after this interview, but I really don't care either. But
I don't care.
And I'm not a racist person. I just
I
like intelligent people. It doesn't matter what color. I mean, I served in the Marine Corps. My drill instructors were black. I mean, there was every nationality that was in my boot camp, and you took and every one of them, and that was what was instilled in you. Nobody is white, nobody's black, nobody's yellow, nobody's whatever. You're all green. That was their thing. Marine green. If you want to be a Marine, you're green, and there's no room for racism in this Corps. And I always took that to heart. But it didn't matter what color you were. If you were a piece of shit or you fucked up or whatever it was, you were getting called out on it because you acted in accordingly. And I think too many people are hiding behind certain things that are politicians are maybe saying to win votes, or I don't know what they're trying, what their end goal is. But it's quite frankly kind of scary.
It's getting scarier. It's getting scary. Like growing up as a kid, I don't know, maybe it's indoctrination or whatever, but like the American dream, I loved it. I still love it. I still love the idea of it.
Sure.
I hear that song, whatever that country song was, I'm proud to be an American. I love that song. I get goosebumps when I hear that song. And but that's not how kids think now. They're just like, they hate everything. They think their life is, I don't know, like that all of this is just here. This is just how it is. It's not fought for. They don't think about what it takes to maintain freedom. They're just like, whatever, here's my phone. Here's, whatever. You guys are boring. Fuck you. And that's the generation that's going to run the country.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully I'm dead before that happens, but probably won't get that lucky. But yeah, I mean, I was even just a couple of days ago, and I typically don't watch the news much anymore because it just gets my anxiety freaking a little out of control.
Yep, me too.
But I don't know, we fell asleep with the TV on, and I woke up and one of the morning TV news networks was on, and woke up to them talking about how the new generation they're having problems with them quitting their jobs. So they won't give like a 2 weeks notice, and they just quit, because they don't want to work, or they think everything should be handed to them, and they don't know what it's like to earn a living and be responsible for that. So I don't know. And then I guess if we continue to bail these people out that haven't figured that out in their point of life, then I don't know. If there's just going to be constant bailouts, then we'll just feel the fire.
Yeah, it's not good. We're like literally all of our running out of time. This meeting will end in 10 minutes. Upgrade now to save 50%. Hey man, that's weird. If this
Alright.
ends, I'm gonna send you another link. Let me just upgrade now. I just fucking upgraded. What the fuck are you talking about, mother? Oh, okay. I'm not upgrading. I'm gonna. Okay, this is my fault. So what I did was I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to start a new Zoom with the 13 podcast. That'll be great. But my regular Ryan 13 whatever Zoom is the one that I pay for, because I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I fucking pay for unlimited bullshit. And so I'm going to send you another link real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
And I don't want to end this meeting, motherfucker. This is my bad. I'm super unprepared today. I promise I'm not like this all the time.
It's all good, bro. It's all good.
Take a
Technical happens all the time. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette quick.
I was gonna say, take a pee break, smoke a cigarette, and I'll send you a link, and you come back when you're ready.
All right, brother.
We're back. My lighting's changed a little bit. The position we were sitting in has changed a little bit. Things are different now. It's because, I have some technical issues, but now we're back. What were we talking about? America.
I mean,
aliens.
Yeah. Aliens.
Music.
Whatever. Yeah.
Let's get back to aliens. I want to talk more about aliens. Did you see? So you you were in the military. Thank you for your service. What do you think about these Tic Tac videos of the fighter pilots? The ones they've released. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Oh yeah, the little flying saucer pill thing or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like fucking flying all over the place. It looks, if they weren't going 500 miles an hour, you'd think that was just a fly on their camera or something. But it's, obviously.
I have no reason to doubt it. Especially when it comes from their recorders and their aircraft.
Right.
You can't edit that and alter that. So
yeah. So what is it? What do you think it is?
It's either one of two things. It's either legitimate, like, UFO, or because I don't believe we have the technology to produce that, at least nothing that we're aware of. And our fighter, if it was something of ours, I don't think our fighter pilots would be chasing it.
Yeah, understood.
But it's either something like that, or it's some kind of alien drone or something like that. Little scout, or who knows what it is.
The drone. So the drone thing has me freaked out, because I've heard this thing about Russia, and it may be it's just like, it's the propaganda stuff. So like this could be bullshit. It's propaganda from Russia or from us or from whoever, just to throw you off the trail, right? Like Project Paperclip was about throwing everybody off the trail for everything. That Area 51, they're doing all this amazing, crazy shit. And then like when people started saying aliens, they were like, yeah, no, yeah, yeah, it is aliens, And like they're just like, yeah, go with that, do that. But now we have that. Now we're seeing actual government, military recorded videos of something. And then going back into the Russia thing, they're saying like the Russians have these drones that. And if you watch a really badass high-powered drone, I'm not even talking military, just us having one, that fucker goes and then goes straight up. It can go this way and take a 90-degree turn like it's nothing. So what if
some of them hover? And my job in the Marine Corps, I worked on Harriers.
Okay.
So the Harrier was a jumbo jet that vertically took off.
Yeah.
And when I was in, I would, the pilots would always come back, and they would do like these, like, kind of like training exercises with like simulated dogfighting and whatnot.
Sure.
And
yeah,
they would do that with like F-18s and other aircraft from, the Navy or the Air Force or whatever. And the pilots would come back, and I got to talking to one of the pilots, and I was like, hey, how does the Harrier hold up against, like an F-18 or, some of these more advanced fighter jets. The Harrier was kind of an older aircraft. And he was like, honestly, under 10,000 feet, it'll destroy everything that it goes up against. If under or above 10,000 feet, we're just getting annihilated.
Really?
But what happens is, so they have these um, thrust. They have a hot or a hot thruster and a cold thruster on it, and they adjust, like down to go up, and then as they want to move forward, it rotates like that. Right, exactly. But anyways, so like if they're going like this, and then they'll do like some kind of inverted loop or whatever. Well, they can take that thruster and adjust it, and as they've got a F-18 behind them, they can go down, and the F-18 can't do the same thing and go past them, and then they come up behind them and shoot them out.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
It's pretty wild what those older aircraft can do. But you take that, and that was something that was developed back in the probably 70s, and
sure,
we still utilize them today, but I think the F-35 took over it. But and you have a lot more advancements and whatnot. But you think about that kind of technology and what that aircraft could do from all the way back in, when in its prime in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And now they're putting that same kind of, technology of vertical takeoffs and adjustments and all that kind of stuff in drones, which now you don't have to worry about the G's of what a human body can, because the aircraft can handle a lot more G's than what the human body can. So they don't have to worry about passing out. They can, the pilot behind it can just control it like a video game.
Right. Yeah, dude. I remember when I can't even think of the name of the movie, but I remember seeing that Harrier in a movie when I was a kid and being like, what the fuck? Because it just took right off, And I was like, that is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. Or like, would they come in and they'd land that way too, right?
Yeah. Well, we land them on smaller aircraft carriers.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. It's still crazy to me. And the technology is so much older. Now, like in the F-35, that's the newest.
Yeah, that's the Joint Strike Fighter.
That's the newest one that we are aware of, So and I've been watching that, but like China has those too, right?
I don't think China has them because they're not necessarily an ally, but I know
they have stuff like them.
Right. They have their own versions of it and stuff, but the F-35 is being sold to some of our NATO allies. I think Italy might have a couple, and like Germany and Europe, pretty much all those European countries, I think are getting a handful of them or whatever, but they're different like technology packages, and a lot of the stuff that the United States have is proprietary to the United States, so they don't get the fancy stuff that we get.
They don't get the Yukon XL. They get the Suburban. Well, cool. I mean, that's cool. That's awesome, dude. I love talking. And dude, this is so much fun. This is why we were always good friends back in the day, and still are. We just haven't seen each other in 1,000 years.
Absolutely.
But like we always got good stuff to talk about. So okay, F-35. What between the F-15 and F-35, and why did it go from F-15, F-18? Was there just always more and we just missed them because all of a sudden F-35 is just like, well, nope, this is the best one. Fuck all the rest of these, or what?
Well, no, I mean, I don't believe so, because you have the F-18, the F-14 Tomcat, which was, I mean, they don't even fly those. They're the only way you'll see one is like in a museum or something.
Yeah.
But, the F-18 has been utilized for several decades now. And the Navy, that's primarily the Navy and the Marine Corps that utilize those.
Right.
And they keep upgrading them, like different engine packages and avionics packages, and make them go farther. But it's I don't know how they formulate the the number,
number.
after the F, but
It's like my phone. I have a Samsung Galaxy 20, but before this it was like 10, and they just jumped.
Well, I have an iPhone, and I think they started off with the iPhone 3. So
Oh, really?
what happened to 1 and 2? I'm not sure. So
I think they did that too back in the day with like, man, I don't remember, but they had these like flip phones. Like Samsung had a flip phone, or it wasn't a flip phone. It was like the Matrix phone, like the one that slid up,
oh yeah.
the little matrixy thing. And I
Mhm.
think they had weird numbers like that too. It's like, oh, it started at 3. Like, yeah, where's
Yeah.
1 and 2 at?
Right.
Or like,
Those are the prototypes or something.
they're doing the Star Wars thing, dude. When Star Wars came out, it started at episode, what? It was 4, right?
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
when they came out with that second series,
Yeah, that was 1, 2, and 3.
right? Yeah,
And I remembered seeing that as a kid at V8. I was at Super Video in Katy, Texas on Highway 90, which is no longer there. Hasn't been there for 20 years. A long time. Showing my age there a little bit. And then, but I remember going and getting it because I think they just tried to remaster it or something like that, or they made the video better, but it was on VHS still. And I was looking at it. And I said, Dad, I'm not really good at Roman numerals, but I think that's a 4. He goes, yeah, it's episode 4. I was like, well, where's episode 1, 2, and 3? And he didn't have an answer. No one had a fucking answer. And I remember being so perplexed by this. And then eventually, they did those first 3.
yeah. Well, like what, 20 years later, or whatever it was, 25 years later, or something.
I think when the first one came out, I think I was old enough to drink, and Katy Mills Mall had midnight rodeo in it, and it was next door to the theater. So you could go down in there, get drunk, and run to the theater and go watch your favorite movie. And it made sense for a 21-year-old. Like, this is perfect. And you go out there, smoke cigarettes inside the mall and stuff, man. Shit you can't do anymore.
Yeah,
Man.
I know. Okay. The good old days.
So who you been recording? You been recording anybody cool, or are you just recording local artists, or what kind of work you been doing?
I've been working with a couple just close friends on some couple things. I'm working on the new Pump Jack album.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's good.
Me and Thurber have been, like I'm working on their Pump Jack stuff. He did I don't know if you remember a band called Thin Lizzy.
Met a couple of those guys.
Yeah, it was a great band. But he's covering the song called Johnny the Fox.
Okay.
Beats
Holy
Jimmy
shit.
the Weave. And it's really, really great. And he asked me to play guitar on it, so I'm doing rhythm on it, and I do the lead at the end.
Hell yeah.
Which so we're it's pretty much done. He's got to retrack a couple of the rhythms. We had some issues with the original guitars that were tracked. We didn't like the guitar tone on it, and once we cleaned up the guitar tone, then he realized that the performance was a little sloppy. So we went back in, and it's just been
that's awesome. Dude,
I'm so fun. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm getting really like burnout on this song, because it's been like 6 months on one song. I'm just like, come on, dude.
I have a little I play music with other musicians online. I wouldn't call it a band, but we do this stuff. And there's been this one song that we were working on for a minute. I've stopped working on it. I was done. And I actually think the guy fixed the problem, but there was I'm going to say this nicely because the dude's my buddy. Anyway, long story short, the original demo stuff they sent out, it's just a working thing, but they sent it out and they were like, yeah, it's in 3/4. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then it wasn't. It was in whatever the guitar player wanted it to be. So his guitar, even though the beat was in 3/4 or whatever, the guitar was just like, it was random. And
Really? Was
so
it in
yeah,
time?
no,
Oh,
like you
okay.
like he recorded it fucked up or something for sure, like 100%.
Right.
But they were like, when are you going to send us back the bass lines? I was like, dude, I don't know, man. And I kept thinking it was me. I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's been me. It's been too long. I'm sorry, dude. Like, I just can't. You do this thing, and I started telling him, like, you do this thing, and then all of a sudden it changes right in the middle of it. And like, it's not even, I don't know, man. And then I started realizing, I was like, oh, wait, he's just fucked up. And he
Right.
re-recorded them, and I haven't recorded my bass to it yet, but we were working on it forever. I was working on it forever, and I wasn't getting burned out from listening to the song 950,000 times, but I was getting burned out because like I couldn't figure out why I was fucked up. I don't know why it took me so long, but it was like, oh, it's cool. It's not me. It's him.
Right. Yeah. It's always better when it's not you. You're just like, it wasn't me. It was them.
But I don't know what, I guess because they said 3/4, it fucked me up in my mind when I started thinking about it. I was like, do I not know how to play to 3/4? This is stupid. I know Razor 13 has songs in 3/4. Like, I gotta fucking know, and I just sat there messing around with it in my head a little bit too long and whatever. But yeah, I kind of get ear fatigue, like when you listen to a snare drum 45,000 times and you just sit there and you keep tweaking it a little bit and a little bit.
Oh, you got to walk away.
Yeah. And you walk away,
Take
and
a
you come
break.
back. Yeah. You come
got to
back
take
and
a
you're
break.
like, this sounds fine.
I do that all the time. Like I'll be trying to like rush something and try to get something done. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And then I'll go to bed and then I'll come back to do a final listen. And I was just like, what the hell is that? It sounds like shit.
I do that too. I do that with the podcasts. I do that with the YouTube videos. I'll be like, all right, this is great. It's done. We're putting it out. And I put it out and I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't have put that out.
Right.
It's too late now. It's on the internet.
I do that. I was like, hey, check this out and tell me what you think. And then I'll send it off and then I'll come back and listen to it. And I was like, oh man, then I'm following up with the email. It sounds like shit. Don't tell me what you think.
Never mind. I lied. Yeah. I do not need to know.
Right. It's like, please be silent. I already know it sucks. Yeah, but we did this cover. Crowmonger did a cover of Firewoman.
Oh, Firewoman.
Yeah. And it was great.
Yeah. I haven't heard that. Now I'm going to have to go. Now I'm right.
You got to listen to it.
I'm going to go listen to it.
Like, I put so much pressure on myself about, like, this is like one of the most iconic songs and Bob Rock produced it. And
right.
All this stuff, I'm like,
dude, you remember this is sorry, I don't want you to finish the story, but did you ever watch A Year and a Half in the Life of Metallica?
Yes.
So like in that video, he's
Do you want me to comment on this?
Yes. In that video, he's like, hey, just do another yeah or something, or woman, fire woman, and he does it. Headfield does it in the booth. Anyway, he's like, well, woman or whatever it is, fire woman. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah. Go ahead. Continue.
No. But yeah, they're it ended up being that I think I had like 110 tracks on this song.
Holy shit.
I mean, guitar. I mean, there was like, well, we got, who the band Scattered Hamlet is?
The name sounds familiar, but
they're a really good band out of West Virginia. They played on like Knotfest and but they're like southern groove metal stuff, really all the stuff that we like,
Yeah.
And we're pretty good friends with them, and so I reached out to Adam Jode, who's the singer for the band, and I was like, hey man, you want to like work with me on this Firewoman cover? And he was like, yes.
Yes.
So he sends over his vocals, and we did the dual vocal thing. So Hefe does part of it and he does part of it, and they kind of back and forth. And cool. And then of course the chorus comes in, and we've got like, I don't know, like 30 vocal tracks. Like fire. It's just massive
Dude, that's
sounding.
awesome.
And the guitars are shit. I gotta like, because I mean the song is kind of interesting in the fact that it doesn't sound like a very complicated song because it really isn't. But when you start adding all the elements into it, it gets really complicated.
Okay. Yeah, I can
So like the
imagine.
intro part, it's got a clean guitar, and I think their version they were using like a Vox AC40 or AC20, whatever it was, with
Yeah.
the deep chorus and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And then they stereoed it and all that stuff. And us, the way I approach that, because I don't have a Vox to do that. So I just picked a really cool kind of like tweed guitar, clean guitar tone.
Sure.
And then I start putting like some heavy chorus on it. And then of course you got to do your double tracks and all that kind of stuff.
Of course.
And I was
right.
like, well, it needs an acoustic in there. So let's throw in an acoustic and just kind of tuck it in underneath it and whatnot. And then there was a couple other little weird things going on with it. But okay, so that's 12 tracks just in itself on the intro.
Right. Wow.
As you can see where I'm going with this,
I
it
do,
just
yeah.
keeps stacking up, and you do the same thing with and then the solos. I mean, there's probably like 5 solos in this song, and a couple of solos I'm doing like a couple of the leads, and I wasn't playing the exact same thing, because I was
Sure.
just doing different takes, trying to figure out like, do I want to keep it close to the original or just kind of want to do my own thing on it? And it ended up working out where like my own thing and the close to the original was kind of gelling a little bit. So like I tucked one of the solos underneath, put some like really heavy like effects on it, like reverbs and delays and whatnot, and I tucked it under the main solo. And so you'll hear the solo going, but then you'll hear like this like little weird other solo going on in the background.
Cool.
So it worked out really good. But by
Awesome.
the time you add up all the drums, I mean, drums alone probably took up 25, 30 tracks.
Yeah. Oh my God. I have questions. I have questions about drums for you, but we'll talk about that later. So continue.
Sure. But so then I had to take 110 tracks and condense them down to basically where it makes sense,
Okay.
and you can manage it. And that was my first experience doing something with that large of a count of tracks, and it taught me like organization and all that kind of stuff.
Did you like color the tracks?
I did. And I even have like
when it's that many.
Well, I got drum samples in too, so like the snares triggering like 2 other snares at the same time, and I got to be able to tell like, okay, this is like the recorded snare, and then so this is like a bright green, and then the sample is like with reverb is like a
matte green.
Yeah, exactly. It's just whatever it was, but
still green, but less green.
And then I've got my notes down at the bottom of each track on the DAW and everything. So
what do you use?
Logic.
Oh, okay, cool.
I used Pro Tools for a while, and I just like the fact with Logic it's easier to organize things, and there's a lot more kind of studio I don't know, like MIDI stuff, within it. So like, it's really just easy to like, if I'm big, like, so, Lamb of God, right?
I do.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's really doesn't take much room in the studio, but Lamb of God has a song called Redneck, which basically made them famous. Right. Well, I was listening to it one day, and if you ever listen to the chorus of Lamb of God, and you put some studio headphones in on it, you'll hear this like a droning kind of high pitch that goes, it's tucked in and you don't catch it right away. But if you listen to it carefully, you'll hear this like, I don't know if they use a keyboard or if it's like a guitar feedback, but it's something in that frequency range. And all you hear is like,
So you're talking about that's in Redneck, or is that in all?
It's
of
in
them?
Redneck in the
Yeah.
chorus, and it's just
Yeah.
this like if you heard, if I'm sure if you soloed it out, it would be probably just like annoying as hell. But
I'm writing all over my Billy Sheehan notes.
yeah, it little tricks like that fill in space and are really noticeable if you take them away, but not so noticeable if you're just not paying attention to it. Because obviously, I mean,
You're just sitting back enjoying it, like not
right.
paying attention. But somebody like you or me, who like I went to school for audio engineering, like it's yeah, stuff like that gets to me. But I've heard that song a bunch, and I think I just listened to it and enjoyed it and never picked up on that. Now I'm like literally, as soon as we're done, that's the first thing I'm doing. Well, no, first thing I'm doing is Firewoman, Crowmonger cover.
Sure.
And then I gotta go check out the Redneck song. The this guy Mike DeLeon, I say his name like that because I like to. He just went over to Europe and did this Bay Area Thrashional, and Randy from Lamb of God came out and they did Fight Fire with Fire, and it was fucking. If you watch the YouTube video, it was fucking fantastic. I was like, I never knew I needed Fight Fire with Fire to be fucking heavier. And it was.
Oh my god, they're such an amazing band, probably one of my favorite bands, if not at least top 5. And the things that they do is just pretty like interesting. Like I didn't really care, and I'll be honest, I didn't care for the last album they came out with, and I think that was the first album that Chris the drummer wasn't on it. But the last one that he did with them was that I forget the name of it. It's got a weird kind of title to it, but it had like 512 on it and Embers and
Embers.
And they had a song called it was I mean, amazing album. That was probably the first time that I heard Randy utilize some cleaner vocals, and he did a great job on them. Yeah. And then he come in with this me as a producer and a songwriter, I love dynamics in a song. Absolutely. Like I love where you get like these like really amazing changes, and it's like you're gonna be kind of soft, and then all of a sudden it fucking hits really hard and it's like rip your face off, and then it goes back to something kind of mellow and chill. It's kind of like a movie, where you're watching it and it's like you get the tension built up before like somebody gets stabbed to death or whatever. And that's what I tried to build, and I think a lot of bands kind of miss that aspect a little bit. And that was one of the things I really liked about Razor 13 and what y'all did with Doug Pennick. And not that the fact that you guys were like, utilizing that aggressive of dynamics, but it was that, those buildups and that flow and, the harmonies and how the harmonies kind of changed and all that stuff. It was just a beautiful thing. Thanks, regardless if you're going real aggressive or just in any genre of music, it could be R&B, rap, country, metal, it doesn't matter. I love it all, and I'm just a music fan. And it's like if you take those kind of hooks and those dynamics and you forget about that as you're writing a song, people, you're really just writing a song for yourself, because people probably won't appreciate it as much as you do. Right. And I've learned that the hard way. I've had my soul ripped out because like, oh yeah, this is the greatest thing. I'm going to be, all this. And then some guy that's writing a review on my song and shit, from Revolver magazine or something is like, yeah, these guys probably better live. They suck and da da da. And I was like, oh. And then I hit him up and I was pissed. I was like, hey, dude, why'd you write such a bad article? I was like, hey, man, if you don't want a bad review, then I suggest write better songs. Oh, and to me, that stuck. And it was so heartbreaking. But at the same time, it was like, I mean, I can't be pissed at you because you're right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, dude, I know that feeling. So I've always said that the Razor 13 album, and thank you for saying such nice things about Razor 13. But like the album itself, to me is not complete. And even though it took like 3 years to put together 10 songs, which is just, there's like 40 songs, but 10 made
Oh
it.
wow. Yeah.
And anyway, long story short, there's songs on there that my bass is not finished. Like it was not finished. Like I remember 100% went in, said, "Oh, we'll plug you in direct. We're just gonna play you direct. We'll do this, but we'll reamp you later." Because I wanted them to mic it up. And this is, what is this, 2008,
9, 8.
Well, when it came out was 2009 or whatever. But I think like 2008 or whatever. I'm like, all right, yeah, we'll put scratch tracks down. And like a lot, I don't know, it's not Alive. I don't remember, but there's a couple of songs in there. If you go in there and you listen to the bass, like some of the songs with the bass, you're like, fuck yeah, that sounds great. And if you're sitting there and really listening to the bass on some of them, it sounds like a wet goose fart. You know, just
Really?
like, what the
I don't
fuck
think
is
it
this
sounds
guy?
that bad. I
It's
never heard
bad.
of Wet Goose on Razor 13 album, but
Dude,
I
it's
might have to
bad.
go back and take a second listen and see if I
I'll
can
tell
catch
you
it.
what song. I'll tell you what song it is if I can remember. It might be "Time to Cry." I don't know, but one of the songs that's just like it's straight up me direct, and we did not. The plugins weren't that great back then.
Oh,
You know, like
yeah.
the stuff it's just me playing the bass direct. And I was like, why the fuck did this make this on the goddamn record? We said we were going to do this other stuff, but you know, that's me bitching, because you're always going to bitch about your own stuff, because you listen to
yeah.
it later and you're like, oh, we could have done this better. We could have done this better. We could have done this better. Or like, fuck Doug's vocals. I was just talking to, I think Rob Alexander about this. I have the original vocals to Alive from, or maybe it was J-Reb. Either way, I have the original vocals from Alive, and the original vocals that did not make the record are, I mean, not only is Alive fantastic on the album, but like the original is so much bigger. It's
Really?
So there's the choir of Doug and that "I'm alive" thing.
Yeah.
Like I can't sing. Like it was bigger. Big Mike's solo was different. It was still unpolished, and you can still tell it's a demo on the CD I have over here, but it's fucking fantastic.
Why didn't they just utilize that if it was
so
it was
what
better?
happened? What happened was, this is early. I'm still calling it the early days of transferring files and stuff. So Doug in Poundhound Studios and Katie sent stuff to, I guess, Walrus Studios or whatever Paul Swarovski calls his studio in Austin, and they vanished. And Doug didn't have them on his computer.
Wow.
They never made it to Paul's. I don't know, but they vanished. But somehow, I was mowing Doug's lawn the day he finished recording this. I'd mow his lawn for weed. It was awesome. I'd be like, "Hey, come mow my lawn. I'll give you a bag." I'm like, "Sweet."
Right. Deal.
And he said, "Hey, come in here. I just finished doing this thing or whatever." So we rolled a joint, sat down, started smoking a joint. He hit play on Alive, and I was like, "I'm a part of something." You know, like this is fucking this is fantastic. Because I didn't like, the song was cool. We'd had it for a while.
Yeah.
But Doug changed it. The harmonies, the things that he did, he made the music that was there better. You know, like it was okay. It was a cool song. But and now when I think about it, sorry, I'm talking about myself so much, but like when I go back and listen to it, I'm like, even the one that's made the record, I'm like, I fucking love this song, man. It's such a cool vibe. It's weird. And I don't love stuff I do. So this was cool.
Well, you know, it's one thing when you start working on things that are with professionals, and when you have work, there's always, no matter what project you work in, it always seems like there's that one or two guys that just non-professional, or, you know, and sometimes, and I hate to say it, but sometimes, you know, when you're working on a project, you have guys that either are really dedicated and they're limited on their, you know, just ability to perform.
Sure.
Or, you know, they have the guys that are really talented and they just, you know, have no desire.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Then it's just like a constant like battle. trying to get anything accomplished. And
Yeah.
I think so much. I look back at what I've done over the years, and it's like I just feel like I've wasted so many valuable years on dumb things that I probably should have just walked away from originally. Um, but working with like Scott and Rob, and Thurber, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a whole nother level of like professionalism when you can just, hey, this guy is really talented at playing drums, or this guy's really good at harmonies and all that kind of stuff. And I was talking to Thurber one day, and this guy can make vocal harmonies and vocal hooks just like it's mind blowing
Like it's
what this
nothing.
guy does. Yeah,
It's like-
it's crazy. It's just natural talent. And we were talking about that one day, and I couldn't even do that. And we were talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I sat down years ago with Dime, and Dime got on my ass about hooks in a song." And he was like, he used Walk for an example, I guess, when he was kind of explaining this to him.
Sure.
He was like, so to take Walk, what do you hear? It was like, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
But it's hooky, it's catchy,
Right.
it catches your attention. He's like, that's the hook for that song. He's like, Thurber, he jumped with Thurber's because I guess when the early days of Pump Jack and his performance, he was kind of lacking on that a little bit.
Okay.
And so Dime really kind of showed him what he was talking about. And to Thurber's credit, he took that information, that gift that Dime gave him, and he just all these years has like built on it and built on it and built on it. And I mean, in my opinion, I feel like he's perfected it.
Nice.
And I mean, it's just like some of the stuff, like I'll send him ideas like, hey, what do you think about this song I've been kind of dilly-dallying around with? And he'll come back with some vocal line over it that I was never even thinking about. And it's just like, what the, it's insane. I mean, I got hours of, stuff that we've been working on over this last year.
Sure.
That, some of it will make it, some of it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not part of Pump Jack. I'm not a performer in that.
Sure.
I just came on for one song as a guest, but I'm the acting producer for what they're doing at this point. So we're just constantly throwing ideas and trying to get them something completed to get out to the public, at this point. And it's really good stuff. Like the stuff we have, it's just like, we just need to finish so we can get it into post-production and start putting all the, the cherries and all that good production stuff, on it.
That, my favorite, my favorite part about any of that is the post, that stuff, adding shit at the end. Like, okay, here's the song. This is done. Let's do some shit. Like, Razor 13 did a song. It's not on an album. Actually, I'm gonna say Big Mike did a song. We did it when we were recording the Razor 13 album, but it's Big Mike. I mean, Big Mike was the driving force behind all of Razor 13. Dude's he's phenomenal. They came up with all the songs. We just added to his stuff, but he did a song called "Minister of Pain," and it was for a MMA fighter. I can't remember the dude's name.
Okay.
I guess his Minister of Pain. I guess whoever that guy was.
Sure.
But the song was cool. We had the lead singer Carbide, and he came in and did his screams and stuff. But in the very beginning, this is when I got the bug, because I was able to sit in there afterwards, and I was like, Mike, okay, in the beginning of this, your drive. I don't know how to say this properly. The high end, the drive, I don't know, like he was overdriven so much that if you went up and touched the strings past the closer to the tuning knob, that if you touched it, it still picked it up, right? So like whatever, there's a guitar, but it's way back there. But so I was like, this song sounds fucking evil. So in the middle of this thing, when you're doing when all these drums are happening and all this shit, just go, "Pring," make it sound like someone's fucking stabbing somebody. And they did it, and they added this part into it. And I was like, okay, cool. So now in this solo, start doing the dive bomb thing that Dime does. And then he starts doing that. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, wait, now let's do this. That's my favorite fucking part is you get your structure and then you come back and you're like, okay, how do we fucking nail this motherfucker? That is so fun, dude. I'm jealous. I wish I would. I don't think I'm good enough to be a producer, but I would love to fucking sit in and like just throw ideas at people and see what works, because that is super fun, man. Like, what a cool job.
It is, and I hope I get to do a lot more of it. And but working with Thurber and Pump Jack, it's like, wow, this is like, really kind of just, this is what I've been after all this. It makes me feel like, I don't do a lot of live performances, and I feel like I'm kind of moving past that as that goes on in my life.
Sure.
I do put out some new stuff, periodically, and I'll be putting some more stuff out this year. From country to the little bit more heavier metal. Actually, I wrote this song. It's called 2020, and I haven't put it out yet, but it's like, I was just messing around on the guitar, and it was all clean and delays and just kind of sounded really big with the stereo delay.
Yeah.
And I had this bend, and I started with the bend, and then I bent down, and I went, "Beow." And I wrote a song around it because it just fueled this like, thing. And so now the song starts out really clean. I'm singing clean. And then it kind of like a stepping block type thing. So it starts out really clean, kind of eerie. And then it gets a little bit more overdriven. The vocals get a little bit more overdriven. And then the chorus hits, and it's just like, I start doing some, I call it my Lamb of God vocals, but it's nowhere close, but it's
sure. Okay. Well,
it's that style, that,
it's what you were going for.
Right. And then and then it has this kind of weird break, and Scott played drums on it for me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. We mic'd up Rob's kit, and that he's got that beautiful Pearl Master custom. It's a silver burst. Yeah.
I have photos of it. I was actually looking at them the other day. Man, he's had
so when Scott and them had had the Six Past Hell rehearsal studio, I went over with my interface and stuff, and I just mic'd it all up, and Scott played drums on it. He was like,
cool.
Yeah, and Scott's a great drummer. I mean,
I know, like we were talking about that in his interview. Like, well, we're like the Abbott brothers or whatever. Like, started out playing drums and ended up, or whatever, playing guitar, or however that worked out for them. But that's super cool. Like, now I wanted to jump over to this before I forget, because I'm super absent-minded, especially today. Okay, so when you're miking up drums, what are you taking over, like, to go mic up drums at somebody's random rehearsal studio? What do you got? What's your interface there?
Nothing fancy. Currently I have several of them. I've got it just depends on what I feel like dragging around with me that day. I have a Soundcraft 22 channel board that has enough things to mic up an entire drum kit, but I finding myself, I don't really use it that much. I don't really like it all that much. It sounds good, but at the end of the day, I don't really care for it as much as I do my Behringer.
No, dude, Behringers are fucking phenomenal. What happened? And what happened with Behringer? Because like they used to be shit, in my opinion. Like, back
they put these Midas preamps in them, and
that's what
honestly
happened.
I've got this Behringer. It's what is Euphoria. It's an 8-channel Euphoria. It's got MIDI, input and output on the back of it. It's got all the ins and outs, like all your high end stuff.
Yeah,
it does 196K if you wanted it to.
Right.
I mean, and it's got light pipe on the back. So I've got two of them and I can now I've got 16 tracks.
Dude.
And I've never recorded drums where I needed more than 16 tracks.
Okay. So the reason I'm asking all this is because my buddy Bert Gerber, and yes, Bert, I put your last name out on the internet. My bad. Maybe I'll mute that. Anyway, he wants to do drum videos. Like when you go watch the drum videos on YouTube, and everyone's just like covering songs and
sure
doing their thing. He really wanted to do that, and he bought. Man, I can't think of the name of what it was called, but it had something like 16 tracks, maybe 24, or not tracks, but inputs on it. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I can help you out figuring this thing out. And I couldn't figure it out, but he got Reaper and everything back then. And this is a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I have Reaper now. It's what I use for everything I'm doing. And now I understand Reaper a lot better nowadays than I did back then. Cause back then I was like into Digital Performer 9.
I don't even think I've ever heard of that one.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, because I that's what I like learned on in college. It was very much trying to want to be Pro Tools, but couldn't. It wasn't anywhere.
Yeah,
it was just shitty. But and I think it's changed its name and it's turned into something else now. But anyway, long story short, Bert still wants to do that stuff. And he still has he bought all the mics, he bought all the cables, he bought all the stuff. He's got all the crap, but he's never been able to do it. I haven't gone over there to help him lately, but I was thinking like, when you mentioned recording drums, I was like, and we can do this off recording, but I'm like, now I can pick somebody's brain about how to get him hooked up to do these videos. I can do all the video crap for him and tell him how to do it and get all the audio stuff pretty much right. But actually the miking up of drums is not my forte. So
it's so miking drums. There's multiple ways to do it, and it all depends on, obviously how big your kit is and all that stuff.
Very, very, very large kit. It's retarded.
And those increasing the bigger your drum kit, the increasingly more difficult it becomes.
Yeah.
And I don't even honestly, I'm not a huge fan of double kick drums, especially in the recording process, because it's a waste. It's really it really is. I mean, it's problematic. I mean, you can achieve the same thing with a double kick pedal and one drum that is going to be constant. You'll get a constant sound. Back when I used to perform with Witness, I did the recording and this was like my early, like I didn't know shit. I'm just like watching YouTube. I'm like, oh, I could do this and blah, blah, blah. And my drummer, Corey Trump, he's a phenomenal drummer and he's a great guy, but he had this kind of older Pearl kit and he probably still has it. It didn't sound bad at all, but he was a young kid and didn't have a lot of money to replace drum heads. And, so the ones he was using were just beat to hell. Just
dented as fuck. There's like that one place that one time he hit it really hard. And
right. So we mic'd up both his double kick pedal or drums, and I caught hell trying to, and of course, I mean, now knowing what I know now, I mean, it wouldn't have been quite as bad.
Yeah, you could have triggered them or whatever. And so are you talking about like
trigger them?
So like, was it just, it sounded different because this mic over here was different and he had more pillows in this drum bass?
Yeah, they just, no matter how much we tried, it was hard to get a consistent sound between the two of them.
Okay.
Because you're using two different mics, and then of course you got bleed from other stuff that's interfering and all that stuff. But I always found that when you're recording drums, the one kick drum is all you need, and it's going to make you sound better. There's a reason why if you go in any pro recording studio like in Nashville, like Blackbird or I mean, when you go in their drum room and they've got their drum set up, there's not a double kick, it's just one kick. And there's reasons for it.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah,
So
Bert. I think Bert has like 3. I don't know. I could
I
be
don't know
wrong.
why
But
you need 3 of them, but cool.
he bought this setup, dude. Bert, love you, Bert. He bought this setup just because he loves drums, and this dude was selling them, and he just bought this massive drum kit, and the guy didn't want to. He didn't want to sell it to someone who wasn't going to appreciate it, and Bert was going to appreciate it. And
Sure.
he paid whatever he paid for it, and got this massive thing. And I remember walking into the studio he had, and I was like, where am I going to set up? Because the fucking whole room was the drum set. It was so fucking big. And I was like, Bert, this is the thing that like stagehands hate the most. Like, if you ever go to a show, you're not bringing this. You're going to bring the other one,
Well, and I always
too big.
Yeah, I mean, you go to a show, and I've been to a couple local clubs and stuff where I've seen the local drummer, and he's got like, I mean, more drums than Tommy Lee does on the stage, and the sound guy is like sitting there scratching his head like I don't know. So I see like him put like a kick actual one of those Shure Beta, I don't know, forget 58s or not 58, 59, or forget what they call it. It's a
Sure, something
mic
with a number. I know exactly. It's
Right,
the fat one.
it's the fat one that comes in the
Yeah.
kit. I
Yeah.
don't know what the name
I know
of
what
it
you're
is,
talking
but this is the
about.
one I use.
Okay.
I just don't know the name of it.
Right.
Anyways, you got that, and then they don't have another one on stage, so they, of course, what does everybody have? They have got a 57,
Of
so
course.
they throw a 57 in there. So now when you got your double kick, you got this big thud on this one, and yeah, it's so I was like, I try to tell people, I was like, just take one kick. It's gonna just save your world. You're gonna get a lot better sound out of it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you got.
Just buy a double bass pedal, or if you need it. And dude, there's some stuff that King's X does that I'm like, man, dude, your double bass is great on that, Jerry. And he's like, I only have one, bass drum kick.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, how the fuck are you doing that? Because it sounds like, but he's doing. And I was like, that's fucking sick as shit. I, of course, not a drummer, so
I'm not either. I cannot play. I'm the world's worst drummer. It's embarrassing anytime I sit behind a kit.
I can play For Whom the Bell Tolls, just like the beginning, and then also like what the fuck is that Slayer song? Raining Blood. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
and that's it.
I know how to do the little bell on Corn. That
I'm blind.
Yeah, I think
that's awesome.
I can't get my feet and my hands to work, which is crazy because I mean I run a wall pedal all the time, but I just can't. But it's different. It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same at all, dude. Like you're doing different things with all your feet. Or not all your feet, all your limbs, not just feet, Ryan. Come on.
Yeah.
But all your
different timing.
You're all, I don't understand. I can't do that. I'm white.
I've got mad respect for drummers because I don't even care if you're a bad drummer. I tell everybody if they're like, oh, that drummer sucks. And I was like, well, he's a lot better than probably you or I.
That's true, dude. That's
and he's got some kind of talent. So
that's true. That's very true, dude. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. I don't want you to go anywhere. I want to talk a little bit before you leave. But the only reason I want to wrap this up is because I like to keep it a little short, and I want to have more to talk about next time, because I'm hoping you'll come back on another time and we can shoot the shit and talk some more.
Yeah, absolutely. So
awesome.
I'm not the most interesting guy. So I mean, there's guys are way more experienced and have a lot more better tour stories than I do. So
dude, we didn't even talk about tour stories.
I know, right? It was more about aliens and aircraft.
Aliens, aircraft, dude, and that's why this show is what it is. But it's mostly based around music, and we talked about the studio and stuff. So next time we'll talk about some tour stories.
Well, most people don't realize that, they see me on stage and they'll see me as Tommy Bones or whatever. And I think they just think I'm a mean guy or something. But in reality, I'm just a nerd. Like, I'm a geek.
Me too. Look at all my toys.
I'm the nerdy math guy that probably teach a kid algebra or something if I had that job.
Right. That's fucking fantastic, dude. Man, it's been fucking great to see you, brother. Like, it's
absolutely, man.
I hope we can continue to talk off of the show, obviously, and get
absolutely. Hope we can get together and have a couple drinks at some point.
Yeah, have a beer. Like, I think
get out of that room, come out a little bit. And,
I don't know,
just have a, there's another world out there.
Okay, speaking of being a nerd, can I bring my Zelda shield with me?
Yes, you can, and I will
hide behind it, and everything will be okay.
Right, exactly. No, you need to come out because I know Scott and Rob and all those guys are coming out, and we typically get together at some point, at least a couple times a year. And, JR and Zach and
I miss JR.
The Six Best Hill guys.
I learned a lot from Zach, dude. I remember the last show I played. I think the last show he saw Zach saw Razor 13 do. I totally ripped him off. I'm sure he ripped somebody else off doing it, like maybe Zach or a different Zach. But anyway, like Zach would always hit the bait when he had an open E or open C or whatever they were tuned to. He would fucking just hit that bass as hard as he could, and it would ring out. And I thought that was so. And you had to do it in an exact certain place to make it work live. And I fucking totally stole that from that last show. And it wasn't Razor 13's last show, but it was the last show I think Zach saw. I saw Zach. It was at the Rock Bar. And I looked down, and Zach was standing right there, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, I'm doing this!" And bam, and I hit it, and it fucking rung out. And I was like, "Ah,
it works!"
Felt so cool, it works.
That's always good when you can pull off little tricks or new tricks that you learn and stuff, and it works.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
All right, dude, we're gonna have you. We're gonna have you on again. We're gonna end this, but you and me are gonna hang out and talk, maybe finish a beer or something. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for coming to the 13. I'm your host, Ryan 13. This has been Tommy Bones, and we'll see you again on the next one.
Peace.